Prescott is in the gun. Back on his right. They'll give it to Pollard. He's going to be hit from there. Oh, he kept it. He's still good running up the middle. Touchdown. Oh, he faked me out. He did not fake out Jake Goldberg. He said, no, he's got it. What a great fake in an 18.
I'm sorry, I got lost in the jam. It's R&R in the morning. That was Brad Sham, and it faked us all out as the Cowboys take a victory in to the bye week. We'd like to welcome in the dark and dusky, well-lit RJ Ochoa. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Happy Taylor Swift 1989 re-release day to you two. I know that you are the two of those who celebrate.
So is that a thing?
It's a big day in your life.
So there's a re-release today?
Yeah. Today, I mean, you're aware that she's releasing her album. This is one of the more popular pop culture phenomenons that's been going on for 2 years.
Genius.
This is music that's already been released. That's
what a re-release is, Rob.
Well, I mean, so what exactly am I buying in this? Is it like redone, remixed?
It's the TLDR. It's her version. The rights to her music.
So this is what it is. I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she's basically, to Rudy's point, making a filthy amount of money off of material that has already existed.
Because she owns her masters now, so it's genius because she's while Travis is clearly elevated, she's also elevated. You know, we're only talking about Travis getting 12 commercials, but when you own your masters and you're on TV more than the Cowboys, it's only right you do this. So she's the biggest story in the NFL this season, which is a lot to say when you're talking about your RJ Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, at some point Taylor Swift's going to perform in a Super Bowl, and I would assume that's going to be the one at AT&T Stadium. So it will be about the Cowboys. I mean, like they may not be playing, but they'll be involved in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if you guys know this or not. The Cowboys tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Sunday, have Fox's #1 broadcast crew. 6 times in 7 games, the Cowboys have the top crew. America's team. You guys hang banners for titles and whatnot, but that's what really matters.
That's all we aspire to as Dallas Cowboy fans, is having the A team at noon. That's really all that matters. He's RJ Ochoa. You're getting the A team at 7:36 in the blessed AM. So coming off a bye week, all the talk about the offense and running and moving quarterbacks, listening to his feet. What'd you say, Rudy? The Cowboys are 11-5.
No,
Mike is 11-5 coming off the bye week. What's your expectations here with what appears to be a completely healthy Cowboy football team, apart from a Tyron neck thing from yesterday?
Yeah, the Tyron thing is predictable. It's really sad. I mean, like, you want to feel bad for somebody. Look up Tyron Smith's name after injury reports come out. People are really mean to him. I think you would hope the expectation is coming out and serving as a well-oiled, efficient machine, fresh off of rest and relaxation. But it's really difficult to assume that that's who this team's going to be, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Now, the Rams defense is gettable, but so was the Chargers. Mm-hmm. And, this Cowboys offense was pulling teeth against them. And so I think you can't assume anything. I mean, if there's one thing we've learned so far on this young season about this Cowboys team, you cannot assume anything. But my expectation would be that early on we would see some things offensively that will make us feel better. There will be some eye candy involved. It'll be like, how apparently people serve the best wine first. I think that's what the Cowboys are going to do. Like, hey, you guys have been waiting a long time. Here's all the good stuff. And by the time the fourth quarter rolls around and everybody's a little bit, in a certain mood, that's when things regress to the mean. And unfortunately, that's when everyone's going to get pissed off. That's my expectation, but I hope I'm wrong.
I want you to listen to this. I know you've already heard it, but I want you to listen to it in accordance with the fans and us on Mike McCarthy on Tony Pollard. And I want to ask you a question.
6 games, I think those things I think players of Tony's caliber, the cream will come to the top. I do believe that, and I think, but also just stating the obvious, I think he's the featured player there. Last 3 years it was him and Zeke. So I just think job responsibility, the brightness of the light, focused on him, all those things play into that.
The heavy is the head that wears the crown, right?
Help me with that. Like, again, because I come to you to be the voice of reason. And I don't, when I first heard it, I was like, wait, did he just say It's a lot different when you're the guy.
Didn't Emmett tell us that too?
So Mike McCarthy and Emmitt Smith both know a lot more about football than I do. Be very straight up and clear at the beginning. Let me also say that, look, this is a random middle of the week comment from Mike McCarthy. You know, I don't put an enormous amount of stock in
it. Okay, but I want to go one step further, RJ, because just now, and if you missed any of it, he is coming back. The Mike McCarthy interview brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds just after 9:00. And we asked him, like, 30 rush attempts a game. That's where you're sitting right now. Is that a number you're comfortable with? And obviously, he went into, well, you got to delve into the numbers and at 30,000 feet, yada, yada, yada. But he did say afterwards that, you know, the entire structure of this offense is not about – it's about getting – he said spreading the ball to your perimeter. And it doesn't matter how they get the ball. It's just that they get the ball. So he's getting away from running the ball to Pollard and counting a little short pass as a running play for Pollard.
All of these things, my biggest problem is all these things sound contradictory. You know, entering the San Francisco game, which was a while ago now, but, you know, Pollard was leading the league in carries. I mean, so, like, okay, if you're really waiting for the cream to rise to the top, if there is this, like, stabilization period that comes with being the one, the lights being brighter, as silly of a cliche as that is, then why feed him the ball so aggressively early on if you know that? Also, that's dumb and silly that bright lights could affect him as a runner. So why is, I mean, again, that's where I think this is just a little bit of coach speak. I also think, and again, I'm not going to help the guy from, you know, making analogies. I mean, my hands are red in that sense, but, like, what does that mean, Mike, that the cream will rise to the top? Like, I can understand, I can't, but the way that will happen by, like, laws and principles of thermodynamics. Like, there's a reason that the cream will rise to the top. What is the reason that Tony Pollard is going to become more involved offensively? And this perimeter nonsense, I wrote this big article. I'm trying to flex. It was about 1,000 words last week. I'm kind of sick of this, you know, perimeter work. You need to work the middle of the field. That can be Pollard. That can be CeeDee Lamb. That can be Michael Gallup if you want to give him 10 more targets. But the Cowboys are shying away from the middle of the field. And, Rudy, I know you're excited to jump. I can see you. Jane Slater, friend of the station, she had a comment on the Around the NFL podcast right after the Chargers game. And I wrote about – I included that in the article where she said that she asked somebody about the play calling. And I'm paraphrasing here. And she was like, is this, like, a result of the interceptions from last year? Like, is there some sort of conservative nature here? And she said that she got an answer that was like, we're not going to talk about that. So, you know, again, just kind of funny to think about. But, I mean, dude, like, quit being so shy. Like, you have to be more aggressive than this. You don't have to be all the way aggressive, but, like, you can't be living on this end of the spectrum.
Joined by RJ Ochoa, Blogging the Boys. But RJ, I think, again, at some point we just have to believe what we're seeing. And a coach or an offensive coordinator or play caller, whatever you want to call him, it isn't calling anything for his quarterback to throw the ball over the middle of the field, which you can see, Jane Slater can see, everybody can see, is a clear indication to me that the confidence in Dak isn't there no matter what he's telling us. Because why aren't they attacking it? Because you're right. I think you're 100% right. And if you can see that, and you just admitted that he knows more football than you, then what is the reason they're not doing it?
The only thing I don't put stock into is that it's a lack of belief in Dak.
You don't put any stock in that, really? Okay, go ahead. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Because, first of all, these are principles of the West Coast offense. I mean, these get it out quick, you know, work the sides of the field, whatever. Like, and this has been one of the most successful offenses in the NFL for like 45 years. So, I mean, I can understand trusting the machine in that sense. But more than anything, Mike is somebody who people bag on him because he talked about analytics. And since he isn't Mike McDaniel, everybody thinks he's the dumbest person in the world. But he is somebody who is analytically sound. And so where I come down is I think Mike believes that there's a complete and total way to win a football game. And it isn't about not trusting Dak. It's about trusting the process. I mean, it's about trusting, look, our defense is going to wear them down. We just need to be conservative as an offense. Like, independent of who the quarterback happens to be, we just have to survive and let them eat the other team alive. And we just have to not make mistakes. And you can argue that that's shying away from interceptions, but I don't think that's because Dak had an interception problem last year. I think that's he wants to be an anaconda that wraps their body around somebody else and just waits them out. And so that's what we're seeing on the offensive side of the ball.
An anaconda that waits people out. RJ Ochoa joining us here on R&R. You have a second rounder to spend, RJ. You got to spend it. You got a second rounder to go shopping with. And you have an ability to go get a wide receiver, Devontae Adams, or a running back in Derrick Henry. What would you get to go cure what ails this offense?
Well, first of all, I'm more than happy to spend my second round pick. The Cowboys are terrible with it, so
we could look for the first one in there as well.
I'm good on that, but a second isn't moving Devontae Adams. The Raiders aren't picking up the phone. The Raiders are they're screening your calls, Rob, for a second.
But I have a second rounder to spend on a wide receiver. I just throw Devontae out there. But let's say they're going to spend some valuable capital, as Jerry would call it. What would you go get some picks?
At wide receiver, it would be Hunter Renfrow. And so it'd be Devontae's teammate. That would be the name I'd be targeting. Because I want somebody who can work the middle of the field. I want somebody who can win at the point of separation, somebody who's quick and fast and shifty. If you don't want to go Hunter Renfrow, Kendrick Bourne of the New England Patriots. What I like about Kendrick Bourne is he's in a contract year. So if he gets paid, the Cowboys love this. You get a compensatory pick in 2025, although I really doubt he's getting a big time contract in free agency. I'm not of the mindset that believes you got to go trade for a running back. I'm not ready to panic on Tony Pollard. I know that Derek, look, if I'd love to write about Derrick Henry being a possibility for the Cowboys, the numbers on that would be stupid amazing, but I just don't believe in that personally. But my most preferred option, if you ask me like the trade I want to pull off, it's Jalen Johnson of Rudy's Chicago Bears, who he never talks about with any level of pride for obvious reasons. But Jalen Johnson, former second-round draft pick,
I like that too.
He's also entering a contract year, and he is likely going to see some sizable money on the open market in the offseason. You want to trade your third-round, fourth-round draft pick for Jalen Johnson, get 11 games of the regular season, and hopefully some change in the playoffs out of him. He had 2 interceptions last week, took one back to the house. I mean, and then again, if you do re-sign him, awesome, great. You have him, Trayvon Diggs, and Deron Bland back in the fold for the foreseeable future. If you don't, then yeah, you get your comp pick a year later, and you ultimately recoup what you invested. But my ideal, situation is trading for him because, and everybody wants Pat Surtain of the Broncos, and I understand why. But if you trade for Jalen Johnson, you improve every corner position on your team. I love Jordan Lewis, but you help Stephon Gilmore because he no longer has to be the guy. You help Deron Bland because he can now kick back inside and play nickel, play the slot where he thrives. Not that he is, bad or poor, but I mean, this is all about maximizing what you're doing here. And I like Jordan Lewis, but then he goes back to being a great six-man off the bench, and that's what you want in this particular season. So Jalen Johnson, the Chicago Bears, that's my nirvana.
You know what? I thought you wrote a great piece the other day on the trade situation as a whole, RJ, because it's like we're treating Jerry like he never made a move. But I thought the best point was like, look, going into next year, the fourth, and if I misquote you, just correct me in your answer. They already don't have a fourth, fifth, and a sixth. They do have a seventh, right? And they may get a compensatory. So considering all the contracts that you're going to have to pay out when you talk about Mike, you talk about CD, and you talk about Diggs and Dak, with all those contracts that you're going to be paying on, aren't the picks a premium? And it kind of justifies Jerry in his like, hey, I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm going to need these draft picks because I'm paying out so much money. I'm going to need some rookie deals that I can have guys produce on.
I mean, yes, but if you're banking on your fourth, fifth, and sixth round draft picks,
well, you should,
in your roster. I mean, like there's logic to that and there's fairness to that, but I mean, you have your money picks, you have your foundational picks, and like that's what truly matters most. And guess what? Like the Cowboys are going to convince everyone that paying CeeDee Lamb and paying Micah Parsons and paying Dak Prescott is going to end the world, but
that
they will
is
still
what
have
say.
money.
Okay.
Yeah, they will still have money to go, fill other positional needs in agency. The draft is valuable, but I mean, they also don't necessarily have a great track record of success in the fifth round. I mean, you know what I mean? So like, and if you really want to trust their drafting prowess, if you think, oh man, we got to hold on to these draft picks because that's how they're going to build a team. Name me the rookie they drafted that is contributing right now this season. Like who's the draft pick that you're like, thank God they spent that pick on this dude, because it ain't Monty Smith. It's not Luke Schoonmaker. I mean,
only one that comes to mind is Tyler. That's it.
And that's been
about
a year or two.
But that was 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
A couple years.
You know, like the name everybody was so excited about was Deuce Vaughn, who was a 6th-round draft pick, who wasn't even active the last time they played a football game.
Man.
The most impactful rookies on the team are Hunter Lipke, the fullback, and Brandon Aubrey, both of whom were undrafted free agents. So again, I'm not trying to the baby out with the bathwater and say like they suck at draft and trade all of your draft picks, but like it's proof. And some years they've had amazing draft classes where everyone contributes right away. But it's proof that you shouldn't just like clutch onto the draft picks because we can't give them away. What if we turn this pick into a future player? Yeah. But what if you traded it and get one of those dudes right now?
Belichick managed for 20 years not to deal with draft picks. That is RJ Ochoa right here on San Antonio Sports Star. They're opening up the vault. The Ring of Honor will be occupied by number 94 as D-Ware goes in. What's the process? What's the weekend going to look like? And, you know, the game layout. And then who do you figure is next on the Ring of Honor list if it's not JJ?
It's not.
See, I won't write about Derrick Henry joining the Cowboys. I will absolutely write about the Ring of Honor any chance I get, because I'm not trying to get self-righteous, but I think we sort of owe it to Jimmy Johnson. Like if we don't keep talking about this, who will? And so I'm really happy for DeMarcus Ware. He's he might be the best draft pick in the Jerry Jones post Jimmy Johnson era. I think there's maybe Jason Witten could be made as an argument. Soon enough, we'll have those discussions about Tyron Smith and Zach Martin as well. And Dak Prescott will certainly enter the fold given that he was a draft pick. But I mean, halftime is the ceremony, and so they'll have a video, I imagine, narrated by the likes of Jay Ratliff. Maybe Greg Ellis gets involved. Greg Olsen will be on the call.
Nice.
I mean, I think it will be cool to kind of relive and celebrate DeMarcus's time. Now, besides the Jimmy factor, this is a bit depressing because DeMarcus is the first, Ring of Honor member of the drought era.
Right.
He's the first one who's played his entire career in this time that, and it's awkward because he has a Super Bowl title that he won with the Broncos. And so, you're happy for him that he was able to pull that off individually, but he's kind of an example of that. I mean, think about it. The dude was drafted, played his whole career, sat out the mandatory time period, entered the Hall of Fame, not even as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and is now entering the Ring of Honor. And all this time has passed, and the Cowboys still can't get over the same hump. And the Jimmy Johnson thing, we can joke about it, but I mean, Jimmy's in the Miami Dolphins Ring of Honor. Like, this is so sad. JJ, I love JJ Watt, but JJ Watt is in the Houston Texans Ring of Honor.
Well, he shouldn't be in the Dolphin. Why is Jimmy in the Dolphin Ring of Honor?
Because they understand who he is.
For what he offered them?
No, for what he offered the NFL.
Didn't the Heat put Jordan into their building?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's some of those things can be silly. I think Jimmy's not the most silly example, but I mean, where I feel for everyone is it's a talking point. Like, earlier this week, the Cowboys tweeted about, hey, DeMarcus is going to the Ring of Honor this week and blah, blah. You come through all the replies, put Jimmy in, put Jimmy in, put Jimmy in. That is so mean to do to DeMarcus Ware. Like, why should his moment be drowned, by people who have a right and fair point to bring up Jimmy? And so, then people say, well, don't ruin DeMarcus's moment. It's like, well, everyone has a right to feel this way. It's a really awkward situation that has an incredibly easy fix. I mean, you're literally excluding not just some of the Dolphins Ring of Honor. You're literally excluding a Hall of Famer. I love the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. It pales in comparison to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So you are excluding somebody who the most prestigious fraternity in this game's glorious history has acknowledged as one of the greatest coaches of all time. It's fundamentally dumb and petty.
Wow. Are you worried about Nakua and Kupp and Atwell, who, I mean, I know we don't talk about Atwell much, RJ, but he does lead them in touchdowns as far as the receiving core goes. And, when you look at Stafford's been intercepted 6 times, sacked 18 times. If they don't get to Stafford, he does have the ability to carve them up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified, to be honest with you.
Really? I didn't expect, because sometimes you're like, hey, man, Rudy, this is cool and everything. Cowboys going to kill him. I didn't expect to hear that.
Dude, Stafford's been killing this season. I mean, like he looks like vintage, Matty Staff. And I actually, don't really look forward to games where he plays the Cowboys because we have to hear the same things a million times. Like we'll hear about Highland Park, Clayton Kershaw, Little League, blah blah blah.
So true.
But he's been playing really, really, really well. And Cooper Kupp is back, and it bothers me because a strong opinion of mine in the past has been that Sean McVay is not that great of a coach and is a bit of a coward. And that's tough seeing this year because I really feel like he's making lemonade with what he's got going on. It's impressive. The Puka Nacua thing is obviously cool and fun, and I hope something that chills out at least for this week. But if they're able to score, what terrifies me is I don't trust the Cowboys to be able to go shot for shot with anybody right now. And so if they're able to put up 27, 30 points, that feels like enough right now. I mean, if you can handle this defense way, I don't have the faith. I need to see it to believe it more that the Cowboys offense can live up to their end of the bargain.
Do you need any of our Rangers gear, RJ? I can get it down to the valley pretty quick.
I think considering y'all's relationship, RJ, considering y'all are so tight, it's like a third son. I think that's a low blow.
I'm proud of Rob for being feisty and spicy and aggressive. And because you know what, Rob is at least creative with his low blows. Like Rudy stands there and poses in the same spot with different hats every day of the week and whips out a Rangers hat. And then he gets Astros fans commenting and he's like, whoa, why are y'all upset? Like, at least Rob leans into it. You know what I mean? Rob's here to play the villain. Rudy wants to live and play on both sides of the fence. Look,
definitely.
This was a really awkward 2 weeks for me. I'm very happy that it's over. I'm sad that it went the way that it did. The Altuve win happened on my birthday, so for that I will always be very grateful. But I'm also, look, this is a weird take, and I know how it sounds because my team lost. I'm a little sportsed out. I had the second TV. Yeah, I had the second TV in the living room for all this stuff lately. It's been exhausting to keep up with primetime football and baseball and flipping and moving.
Now the Spurs are back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I'm a little drained. I mean, I just need, everyone to calm down. It's a great time of year, but this was a lot to devote, an insane amount of energy towards.
And I thank you for telling Dusty Baker thank you.
Yes.
Because a lot of Astro fans don't appreciate him. So I can appreciate that you appreciated Dusty and what he did and coming in when he came in. Because remember, he handled Barry Bonds, and then coming in off of the whatever you want to call it that went on with the Astros in 2017, handled it well, handled like a pro, and got him back to the promised land. So I appreciate you appreciating Dusty.
I think a lot of Astros fans are unwilling to say that the team needed Dusty's good guy image. I mean, like it helped soften the blow for a lot of things. Did he have some decisions that I disagreed with for a very long time? Yeah. But he's a baseball legend, and we'll always be the team he won a title with. That's a cool thing. I mean, they weren't unsuccessful in that run. And look, I mean, do I wish they'd had more success? Yeah. But like, I'm complaining about 4 straight LCS appearances. I mean, like, let's have some perspective here. It's not like we're the 49ers that, pretend to accomplish a lot of things and get a lot of credit for it, even though their Super Bowl drought is longer than the Cowboys.
That is RJ Ochoa poking people in the eye on the way out, as he should be doing.
That's what he do.
Have a fantastic weekend. Refresh and renew, and we'll talk to you next.
Rob, I hope you got one of those Wemby t-shirts. I saw Jack did. They're beautiful.
I did not. I was a working press member without a seat, and my son bought a ticket. That is how things go. We will talk to you next week, RJ.
Later,
be cool.
big dog.
Go get another
Love
brisket
you,
done, man. It looks pretty.